Okay, you guys, what's going on? This is Eric Vine, Family Cash Machine, and today we are talking about tax issues. I see that the Brat, and I really like the Brat. She's from Chicago, like myself. I'm originally from Chicago. I like the Brat. I like the fact that she's a down to earth person. You know, I've watched her from time to time. She's a very talented young lady. She writes a lot of lyrics right now for a lot of people. You guys don't know she's still in the game in the backfield, just doing like a ghostwriter, so to speak, and somewhat of a mentor to some of the young men and young women in the hip hop industry. But I found this quite interesting. I wanted to talk about this briefly. No shade on the Brat. You know, like I said, again, I love the Brat. I think she's very, very, very talented. One of the best, one of my best female rappers, of course. Sister of Lisa Ray. A lot of people didn't know that, but I guess you guys do from watching reality TV show. But recently, I just found out, and it was very disturbing to me to see that the Brat has found herself in some tax issues, and so this is what we are about in the Family Cash Machine, just basically trying to help our people because as you guys know, in the rap industry, it's like 100,000 rappers in each neighborhood in America, or around the country, around the world. Actually, you got so many rappers trying to be in the hip hop game, but here's a woman that made it. Here's a woman who's actually successful. One of the most sold female rappers. She sold more records than any other female rapper ever in the history of rap. And so the Brat now has found herself in some issues. Now, I had the liberty to look up the Brat and see that she's worth probably about net worth about 3 million. But what has happened to the Brat is what happens to all of our entertainers and basketball players and singers and stuff that end up making so much money. And what they don't realize is, it's kind of hard as an entertainer, as say Halle Berry, to make 22 million and get paid in a corporation. They're going to get paid in your name because you're a member of the Screen Actors Guild and all this other stuff going on. But the same with entertainment, same with music people. The Brat has amassed a lot of wealth, made a lot of money, and she's traveled all over the world. And over the years, she may have made a certain amount of money. But what happens to our entertainers and our talented people is they're spending money as they're making money. They're spending money and they're buying cars and they're, traveling and having fun and buying jewelry. And most times we tend to over exaggerate our lifestyles, trying to show people, what we can do. And some of us have been deprived so long. Most rappers come from, humble beginnings where they now got some money. And so, of course, they want to have some fun. And I get it. I understand that there's phases that you're going to go through as you become successful. And many people have went through this phase of having all, buying cars, buying jewelry, shopping. There's different phases that you're going to go through till you get accustomed to having money. Well, the Brat, like any other one of our entertainers, has had her experience with success and her experience with spending money and her experience even with the trouble of the law. And all of those different things that she's went through, I see growth in her. But I got to talk about this because I'm seeing so many of our brilliant minds and our brilliant entertainers who come across a lot of money but don't quite understand money. And they find themselves 5, 6 years down the line or 10 years down the line when they're not as hot as they were when they were making all this money. And now here comes the IRS. Here comes the state tax board. Here comes all these problems because once you start making real money, you're on their radar. You're on their radar. And so you may not be being harassed by them the first 3, 4, 5, 6 years, but once you're in that $1 million bracket for so long, they're coming. It's not about if, it's about when. And so this video I did not for just the Brat, but I'm noticing that, 50 Cent, I'm noticing that DMX, I'm noticing that Corrupt, all these different rappers, found themselves in pretty much bad situations with taxes. And they didn't think about that in the beginning. But we have to start educating our people as far as the money bracket that they find themselves in, the income bracket they find themselves in. We have to start preparing them. And that's what the Family Cash Machine is about. We're here to educate and help people to understand this is about generational wealth. It's a shame that we make all this millions of dollars to come to a point where now they owe us money. I mean, now we owe them money, and now they're coming after us. And now, what happens in a bankruptcy? Most people file bankruptcy. I think the BRAT said this is what she said on one of her shows. She said that she has amassed over $8 million in debt. I think it's from mainly taxes. I think she owes $7 million on some lawsuit from the girl who she hit in the restaurant. But let's say she owed $8 million in taxes and she's only worth $3 million and she has to file bankruptcy. Well, guess what's going to happen? When you file bankruptcy, this is not a small thing. This is a federal thing. You have to file it in federal court. So when you file a bankruptcy, they come in and they sometimes seize your assets. You have to take a list of all your assets. So when you read this article here, you actually can see all of the assets that the BRAT owns. You can actually go into all of these assets that the BRAT owns as of right now. You can see everything, her cars, her BMW, the worth of her Jeep, all of those assets are in that document because now once you file bankruptcy, this is public information. Okay, so you kind of like on blast with what you own, and if you don't put everything in there, there can be some serious repercussions. So we can see all of her income, what she made last year, what she made, as a rapper or entertainer or a writer. We can see what she made the last couple of years. We can see all her assets that she owned right in this interview right here, in this article. I'm not going to go through all that because I want to keep this real short. I want you guys to pay attention to what I'm saying and what this whole message is about. This is not shade to the BRAT. I love the BRAT as a person. I think she's a great individual. I think she's talented as hell. But I'm just so sick and tired of our people being exploited. Not just our people, but people in general in the entertainment business and people in general who come across a lot of money and don't realize that money and information has to go together. If you have money and no information, then that money is going to be, it's going to leave you. And so we got to do better in helping some of our entertainers because so many people are around these individuals that just are sharks and barracudas and always trying to take advantage of them. They don't really trust people to, let them in. But at the same time, I want to reach out and I'm going to start trying my best to help some of our talented people to be able to amass wealth and not be an open sitting target for these tax agencies because it's kind of hard to pay taxes, when you owe so much taxes, you just keep putting it off and putting it off and putting it off until one day they say, no, we need our taxes now. But my point that I'm making is because of the lack of financial education, the lack of money, you don't really understand money. You don't really understand wealth. You don't really understand generational wealth and accumulation of assets. Okay, this is what we're about on the Family Cash Machine. We talk about generational wealth. And how you can be the first one in your family, not to say, hey, I finished college. No, you can be the first one in your family to actually create generational wealth. That's what this is about. So with our entertainers, we'll never reach generational wealth if the few people that make it through the gauntlet and make it in the industry lose everything and have to start all over. And this is happening, and this is an epidemic of this happening. You can read it. You guys read it on the news. They always, try to blast these individuals when this happens. But sometimes bankruptcy is a strategic economic move. I think Corrupt made a great move on his behalf because they had him recorded in contracts with Death Row making so much money. But he said he wasn't receiving all that money. So why be taxed on money I'm not actually receiving? So he may have made a kind of cool strategic move because it wasn't actually factual what they said and what they recorded him making, because he wasn't actually receiving that. So we're going to teach you guys how to maneuver and how to utilize the tax brackets and how to utilize corporations and trust funds and things like that and cryptocurrencies to protect yourself and to keep yourself a certain anonymity in your income. That's what this is about. I just, again, didn't want to put any shade on the BRAT because She's a very talented young lady, but at the same time, we have to teach our people and teach people more economic, educational information so they can protect themselves from becoming targeted. And now they have no recourse, because once they come in and do a bankruptcy, not only do you have to list all your liabilities and all your assets, they kind of treat you like they're your mama or your daddy, and they somewhat ration out your revenue, and they'll put you on a allowance, and they may pay some of the debtors and collectors that you owe, and they kind of regulate your funds, and they come in and treat you like a little kid. And so this is what we're doing here on the Family Cash Machine right now. What we're doing is educating you guys. These courses that we're teaching are very, very, very great. You guys need these courses. Now here's some of the courses here. You need to learn how to protect the bag. It's not about getting the bag, because so many of us get the bag. So many of us come from, low income families and end up making it. This is our story. This is the story of our people. But we have to learn how to secure the bag. It has to be secured for your children and your children's children, so that we can start amassing assets. And whatever properties you bought in your life, they need to be maintained in your family, and then the next generation come and add on that, and then the next generation comes and add on that. But if we get to a situation where we're making $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, $10 million, and then all of a sudden we are open target for tax agencies to come in and just regulate us and shut us down and freeze all of our assets and ask questions later, this is the problem of wealth. This is why we're not accumulating wealth. Yeah, we make money, but we're not accumulating wealth. And I'm going to close on this right here. In segregation, our people made a lot of wealth. We had some of the richest communities in the country. This is when Rosewood happened. This is when Black Wall Street happened. And we had been forced to have our own businesses and employ our own people. But under integration, we kind of lost something. And this was a report I read in the Wall Street Journal. It was basically saying that we have more businesses, okay, and more wealth under segregation. And then now we have more millionaires, but we have less wealth, because everybody has this I got mine, you get yours attitude. And it's not about that. It's about us working as a team, as a group of people to amass wealth and accomplishments, and to maintain those accomplishments, and not to lose the things that we've gained through our talents. So with that, you guys, I'm not going to talk too much longer. I just want to do a quick live video. I'm going to try to keep these videos kind of short, but the things that I talk about is so important for us that I get very passionate about helping you guys to understand more about accumulating wealth, accumulating money, which eventually becomes wealth. Money is wealth, but it's the accumulation of money. It is, and assets are wealth, but it's the accumulation of assets. And if we can't continue to accumulate and store value, then we will never receive or never achieve the level of generational wealth what this is all about. So right now, you guys go to the Family Cash Machine, take our free courses. We have a Phoenix course that's free, and then you can take from there. We'll send you a free ebook, and then from there you can start your journey and become a part of this movement that we're creating. It's a movement. It's not just a company. It's not just an opportunity to make a few dollars, but we're teaching you how to recreate yourself in this global economic that we have, and independently be able to maneuver in this new economy, but collectively as a whole work together for one specific goal, and that's to create wealth for your family. So with that, you guys, this is Eric Vaughn. I'm going to go ahead and sign out. You guys have a great day, and peace. BRAT.